I want to describe something that happens to men who still believe, men who have not walked away from faith, men who know God is there, men whose connection to Him is real, but who have drifted from the daily practice of meeting Him. They are not gone, but they are not fully present either. The prayer life has gone quiet, not because they stopped believing in prayer, because somewhere in a hard season, the structure around it collapsed. Morning routine, the quiet time, the daily rhythm of beginning the day with God before the day began with everything else. And in the collapse, practice went with it. And now there is a gap, a daily gap, a space where the meeting used to happen that is now just silence. And the man knows that. He feels it. He knows what is missing and he knows where to go find it. He is not lost. He's just not going. And here is why. He is waiting to be ready. He is waiting until the discipline is back, until the season has lifted a little, until he feels more like himself, until he has something worth bringing. He is waiting until he can come back the way he used to come, consistent, structured, showing up with a full morning devoted to it the way it was before everything got heavy. He is waiting to come back perfect. And while he waits, the gap is still open. The silence accumulates. The distance does not grow. The connection is still real, still there, still holding underneath everything. But the daily practice of it stays broken. And a man who knows where home is but keeps waiting until he is ready to go there in the right condition is a man who may wait a very long time. God is not waiting for you to have it together before He will see you. He is waiting for you to show up in whatever condition you are in, with whatever you have right now. The father in Luke 15 did not wait for the son to arrive cleaned up and rehearsed and ready to present himself properly. He saw him while he was still a long way off. He ran. He did not wait for the son to reach the door. He covered the distance himself. He threw his arms around a man who smelled like pigpens and far countries and a long time away. And he kissed him. Before the speech, before the apology, before the son had a chance to present himself as anything other than what he was. That is who is waiting for you. Not a God who needs you to arrive in a good condition, a father who runs toward you while you are still a long way off. Let me address the thing underneath the waiting. Because the man who is waiting to come back perfect is not just waiting for the discipline to return. He is carrying something else. Quiet belief, unspoken, maybe even unexamined, that what he has to bring right now is not enough. That the broken version of the routine, the imperfect prayer, the showing up weeks, the showing up after weeks of not showing up is somehow less acceptable than the consistent version, that God would rather he wait until he has more to offer. That belief is a lie, and it is keeping him from the very thing that would help him most. Romans 5, verse 8. God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Not while we were cleaned up, not while we had it together, not while we were showing up consistently and the morning routine was intact and the discipline was strong. While we were still sinners, at our worst, at our most broken, at the point of maximum distance from what we were supposed to do. That is when the love was demonstrated, not after the return, not after the recovery, in the middle of the far country. Which means there is no version of you that is too broken to bring to God. There is no condition you can be in the there is no condition you can be in that disqualifies you from showing up. There is no amount of time that has passed, no accumulation of missed mornings, no depth of drift that puts you outside the range of what he will receive. You do not need to earn your way back into the room. You are already in the room. The question is whether you will turn toward the one who has been in it with you the whole time. Psalm 51, verse 17. My sacrifice, O God, is a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. A broken and contrite heart, you, God, will not despise. David wrote that at the lowest point of his life, not at a high point, not from a place of restored discipline and recovered rhythm, um, from the bubble, from the rubble, from the full weight of everything that had gone wrong and what he brought, a broken spirit, contrite heart, honest showing up with nothing to offer except the truth of where he actually was. That is what God called a sacrifice. Not the polished version, the broken one. The broken showing up is the sacrifice. The imperfect prayer said after weeks of silence is the sacrifice. The alarm set tomorrow morning for the first time in months, not because the discipline is back, but because the man is trying to find his way to the place where God needs him. That is the sacrifice, and God will not despise it. Hebrews 4, verse 16. Approach the throne of grace with confidence, not when you are ready, not when the season has lifted, not when you have cleaned yourself up enough to feel like you belong there, with confidence now in whatever condition now finds you in. Because what you will find there is not judgment for the weeks of silence, it is mercy and grace to help you in your time of need. This is a time of need. The throne of grace is the right place to be in your time of need. You do not have to wait until the need has passed before you go there. Here is what the return actually looks like for the man who has been waiting to come back perfectly. It looks like 5 minutes instead of an hour. It looks like one prayer instead of a full morning. It looks like opening the Bible to whatever page it falls on and reading a single passage instead of structured plan he used to follow. It looks like sitting in the quiet for a few minutes before the day begins and saying honestly, God, I have not been here in a while. I do not have much to bring, but I am here. That is the return, not the full restoration of everything that was. The first small, imperfect step back into the daily practice of meeting God, offered without the pretense that it is more than it is, without the performance of having it together, without waiting until it can be the full version. And that small, imperfect return is still a return. It counts, it matters, it is received by a father who ran towards a son who smelled like pig pens, and it is received the same way with compassion, with arms open, with the full weight of a love that was never contingent on the condition of a man coming home. Do not wait for the full routine to come back before you go back to God. Go back to God, and then let the routine come back to you through the going. The discipline is rebuilt in the daily practice. The daily practice begins with the first imperfect showing up, and the first imperfect showing up is available tomorrow morning. Matthew 11, verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. That is not an invitation extended to the man who has recovered. It is an invitation extended to the man who is weary. Right now, in the middle of a hard season, before the discipline is back, before the routine is restored, before he feels like himself again. Come. That is the whole instruction. Not come when you're ready, not come when you have something worth bringing, not come when the season has lifted and you are in a better place. Come now weary, burdened, exactly as you are. The rest is what you find when you get there, not what you bring, what you find. Zephaniah 3 verse 17. The Lord your God is with you. He will take great delight in you. In his love, he will no longer rebuke you, but will rejoice over you with singing. Rejoice over you with singing, not tolerate your return, not receive you with a quiet acknowledgement that you have finally showed up after all this time. Rejoice with singing. The picture here is not a God who is waiting to process your absence before he can be glad you are back. It is a God who is glad before you finish walking through the door. A God whose response to the man who comes back in whatever condition, after however long, with whatever he has to bring, is joy. That is who you are coming back to, not a record keeper, a father who sings. You said something to yourself before this episode that I want to name out loud. You said, I know I just need to start one day and build on that win. That is exactly right. And I want you to hear how right it is. Because in the because the man in the drift often knows what he needs to do, but does not trust that knowledge enough to act on it. He knows he looks at the gap between where he is and where he wants to be and decides the knowing is not enough. That he needs something more, more motivation, more readiness, more certainty that the return will stick this time before he acts on what he already knows. He does not. He has everything he needs to take the first step. The knowing is enough to start with. The first win will build the next one. That is how the routine comes back. Not through a dramatic recommitment, but through the accumulation of small daily wins that compound into a rhythm. The rhythm compounds into a man. You do not need to feel ready. You do not need the discipline to come back before you start. You need one morning, one prayer, one small, imperfect return to the practice of beginning the day with God. That win, small as it is, changes the next morning. The next morning changes the one after that. And somewhere in the accumulation of those mornings, the man you are trying to find your way back to starts showing up again. Not all at once, not in a single dramatic moment of restoration, in the quiet compounding of one morning at a time. The prodigal son did not recover everything on the first day home. The robe was put on him, the ring was put on his finger, feast was prepared, but the recovery, the actual internal restoration of the man who had been away, that happened over time through being home, through being in the presence of the Father day after day, through the accumulation of days that look different from days in the far country. You are not going to rebuild everything tomorrow morning. You are going to start tomorrow morning, and starting is the only thing being asked of you right now. The rest will come. The discipline will come back stronger than it was before because you know now what it costs you to lose it. The morning routine will return, and when it does, it will hold more weight than it did the first time before you built it the second time with the full knowledge of what it anchors. But none of that comes before the first morning. That first morning has to come. So, here is what I want you to do. Tonight, before you go to sleep, set the alarm. Set it for the set it for the time the morning routine used to start, or earlier, or even just 10 minutes before you usually wake up. Whatever feels like a commitment that you can keep. And when it goes off tomorrow morning, you get up. Not because the discipline is back, not because you feel ready, because the Father is waiting, because the throne of grace is open, because the compassions are new tomorrow morning, and tomorrow morning is the morning you are going to walk back into. Do not try to do the whole routine at once. Do the first piece of it, that one that connects you to God before anything else. The prayer, the quiet, the opening of the word. 5 minutes is that 5 minutes. If that is all you have, 10 minutes, whatever the first piece is, do that imperfectly without the performance of having it together. Just show up. And then tomorrow night, notice that you showed up. Notice that it was the right thing. Notice that the man who showed up this morning is slightly more the man you are trying to find your way back to than the man who went to sleep last night. That is the first win. Small, quiet, invisible to everyone but you and God. Build it, build on it the next morning. You do not have to come back perfect. You just have to come back. And tomorrow morning is the morning you come back. I know what it costs to sit with this episode today. I know because I needed it too. The man recording and the man listening to it are in the same place, knowing what is needed, knowing the way back, standing at the door of the first morning and deciding whether today is the day he walks through it. It is for both of us. Tomorrow morning, one prayer, one win, come back. This is built not felt by the rice board. I'll see you all in the next episode.